And we should be live any moment now. So ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wherever you're joining me from right now, if you're in business or if you're a serious professional, what we know about core reluctance is that it gets in the way of 80% of people's careers. And if you want to have an amazing career in selling, if selling is a role that you participate in each and every day, we're going to make sure that you're free from core reluctance. See, Brian Tracy, one of the world's leading trainers, says that one mental or emotional block not attended to is enough to sabotage your entire career. So over the next 25 minutes, what I'll be doing is demonstrating and showing you just how easy it is to overcome core reluctance. So joining me today is my good friend and fellow coach, Vicky Henderson from the UK. So Vicky, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Daniel. Thank you for having me.
Lovely. Now, you see core reluctance with a lot of people that you work with.
I do, yes.
In the field of network marketing. Now, we've got a couple of our friends joining us at the moment. We've got Michelle Churcher, thanks for joining us. Lauren, Carrie Ann, Rachel, thanks for joining us. Ladies, as you join us, please hit the share button and just start to share this around, because a lot of people in your teams are being held back by core reluctance. So we just want to show them how easy it is for them to overcome that right now. So Jacqueline, also, thanks for joining us. So let's kick it off with some education, because in order for us to make a change, we've got to understand why it's important and what precedes that change. So Vicky, we're going to go through this together. So I'm going to share my screen and just let me know when you can see that nice and clearly. Can you see that?
Yeah, I've got that nice and clear.
Okay, so the topic is core reluctance. And one of the things that we've got to remember is that the statistics don't lie. So 80% of business people are suffering core reluctance. Now, the big problem with core reluctance is this, is you stop making telephone calls. But communication is the vital organ inside the business body. If we're not communicating with internal and external customers, there's no way that we're ever going to make enough money to survive. So if you're not calling, you're not making money. If you're not making money, well, I was going to try to draw some fruit and vegetable on a table, but I'll just write a big M sign, because everybody knows M means McDonald's. You can't go and eat. So Janice, Philippa, Carrie Ann, Stuart, Josh, Donna, thanks for joining us. So let's figure this out together. We know that 80% of people get out of the business because core reluctance kills them. But why is it so powerful? Core reluctance is so powerful because it starts to light up our fears. See, what happens is when we experience fears, we activate the fight or the flight response. And we can't fight our customers. We can't punch them in the nose. There's some days we probably want to punch them because they drive us nuts. No, that rarely happens. Let's be honest. Customers never drive you crazy. So what happens is that we kick off with the flight response and we want to run away. The first thing that we experience is our bowels start to loosen up. We might get some irritable bowel syndrome. We might want to do a wee, or we might feel like we've got to go and vomit. You know, these things are signs of core reluctance. A sign of core reluctance is basically just sitting down at your desk and then getting up and looking inside the fridge. Now, you already know what's inside the fridge, but what's happening is you're trying to get away from making the call. So the fear is already activated, and now the flight response is happening. You go to the kitchen to avoid the call. You go and check in the bathroom to avoid the call. You go into your wardrobe to avoid the call. So the core reluctance kicks off things like the fear of failure. Nobody wants to fail, but failure is part of success. So to avoid failure, people avoid making the phone calls, because if they don't make the phone call, they can't experience failure. But it's like all of us. When we were children, we learned to crawl, and then we learned to walk. And many times when we stood up, we fell flat on our face. You know, I think I would have been much better looking, Vicky, if I didn't fall over so many times. But it's okay to look like this. because I'm now successful. So remember, and I want you to write this down, is that every master was once a disaster. It doesn't matter where you're starting from, ladies and gentlemen. All that matters is where you're going. And if you want to go to that destination and you want it so bad, maybe it's skiing down the slopes of France. If you want to go there so badly, it's worth falling over. Now, you're a skier, Vicky, a snow skier. Is it worth falling over a few times to enjoy the experience of skiing down through the Alps?
Absolutely, yeah.
And you've got to fall over. It's part of learning to ski, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So other business people, they also get caught up in the fear of the unknown. They start to tell themselves these stories. What's going to happen? What if I don't know how to answer the question? What happens if they ask me a question and I can't respond? And all of a sudden, they build up this fear inside of their mind and they still haven't made the call. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us here on Facebook Live. We're discussing call reluctance, and within about 5 minutes, we're going to show you simply how you can break through it. It's very fast, but I want to educate you on the importance of overcoming call reluctance first of all. So if you're watching this live, just do me a favor, just go ahead and press the share button now. Share this because this is great information and we all get curious of what happens inside a coaching session. It's like going to watch a doctor perform an operation. It's very exciting and we're going to operate very shortly on Vicky. Now, business people also fear making a mistake. This is just an old trigger. So when we're at school, we didn't want to make mistakes. We were called up to the front of the room. We were asked to read out loud and we didn't want to make a mistake. So we start to have this inbuilt fear mechanism. Also, if you're getting into a business for the first time and you have to do some cold calling or speak to somebody for the first time, or if you're a network marketer and you're presenting your offer, what happens is we want to avoid shame. Let's face it, people who are in network marketing have been labeled as pyramid schemers. Now, it's not the truth, but they've been labeled as pyramid operators. And there's a sense of shame that goes with that. So what happens is they want to get into direct selling. They want to be able to build a legitimate business, but they fear the shame that can possibly come along with it. Because they don't want to experience shame, they run away. So think about this. When I was young, if I was naughty, my mum would pull down my pants and smack my bottom. And the shame was that everybody was going to see my bottom and I was going to get smacked. So what happens is we want to avoid shame and we start to correct behaviors. But the behavior here is a behavior of avoidance. Does that make sense, Vicky?
Yeah.
So these are all the things that we want to put together in our mind just to understand ourselves better. Next, I remember when I was growing up, I was quite confident and I would ask all the girls to go out on a date with me. And there was many times that I got slapped in the face, but I didn't mind getting rejection because I knew rejection was all part of going on a date. And it took me about 20 years of dating to finally get a yes from Nini. So getting all the early rejections was worthwhile because I ended up marrying the woman of my dream. But most people avoid rejections, so they experience call reluctance. Now, if this sounds like you and you're watching this video live or on the recording, just give us a little thumbs up inside the webinar replay room here so you're understanding and that we're on the right page. The next one here is the fear of criticism. What happens is you might have had a cold call at home, maybe an electricity company or a gas company or a water company was ringing to sell you something, and they ring whilst you're in the middle of sex or maybe in the middle of dinner, and you answer the phone and they say, we're trying to sell you something, and you start to shout at them. We've all had that experience. Or it's an overseas call company and we lose the plot. That's called criticism. What happens is if we've done that to somebody else, we start to expect that it will happen to us. So we seek to avoid that. And I hope that's making sense. So Bina, Paul, Luke, and Janet, thanks for joining us. But the big one here as well, people also fear success. People have always wanted success. They've always wanted to live the high life, to have more money, to live in a bigger home, to drive a faster car, even to possibly meet the person of their dreams. But they also fear what comes with it. See, what happens is as you start to become more successful, you have to leave your comfort zone. But the comfort zone is comfortable and you're familiar. You then, once you become a success, you've got to leave that comfort zone and you've got to go into unfamiliar territory. So people, what they do is they get stuck in the status quo. And how it resembles itself, the symptomology is in call reluctance. So this is the background information of why people have call reluctance. So in order for us to break through this, there's something that we've got to do. So let's shift gears. We have a self-concept, and our self-concept precedes and then predicts all the areas in our life. And within about 2 minutes, we're going to discover Vicky's self-concept, and we're going to have a look at that self-image that she has of herself as somebody who prospects. Because there's one thing that Vicky's been challenged with is being able to make calls in volumes high enough to be able to hit her goals. So what we know is that when our self-image and our self-ideal clash, we will go on this roller coaster ride. Some months we'll have a lot of prospects and a lot of clients come into the business, and then the next month it dips down. We then get into scrambling behaviors to get our income back up, and then we go into sabotaging behaviors. And we go up and down, up and down, up and down. And call reluctance is a form of self-sabotaging behavior. It's designed to prevent us from getting something that we want, that moves us out of that comfort zone. Now, the third part of the self-concept is our level of self-esteem. You and I both know it, is when your self-esteem is really high, you'll make calls all day, every day. Would that be fair to say, Vicky?
Yeah.
So the process here is that what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to change the self-concept. And we have a self-concept in every area of our life. We have a self-concept around selling, but we also have a self-concept around our ability to make calls. And this is where we're going to work with Vicky right now. So in the moments ahead, this is what we're going to do. We're going to identify the way Vicky thinks about calls. We're going to have a look at why she has call reluctance sometimes, and other times why she doesn't experience it. Because what we know is that our thoughts determine our feelings. So 95% of our feelings are determined by our thoughts. Now, if we don't have the right feelings, and that's coming back to our levels of self-esteem and self-worth, we won't take action. And action is where calls take place. If we don't make calls, what happens? We go back to that McDonald's sign and we don't eat. If we don't make calls, we don't make money. So what we've got to be able to do here is a simple 4-step process. Is we have to identify Vicky's thoughts, then we have to have a look at the feelings, the actions, and the outcomes. We'll then have a look at a more powerful set of thoughts that produces more powerful feelings that will compel her to take action. And the outcome will be more calls, more money, and she'll achieve her goals faster than she ever thought possible. Does that sound good to you, Vicky?
Yep, sounds great.
Okay, so we're going to get into some work, and the work that I do is business coaching, and I use some tools called NLP. NLP is the science of success. So how do some people become more successful than others, and how do we duplicate that? If you're in network marketing, you know that you've got to be able to duplicate. If you want to be able to be a success, you've got to be able to duplicate the mental attitudes of the most successful people. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look right inside a coaching session. This is a live coaching session. I have no idea what Vicky's about to tell me, but I know one thing. At the end of this call, in 10 minutes from now, she will not have call reluctance and it won't be a problem anymore. So that's my guarantee. Is that a good guarantee, Vicky?
Oh, it's brilliant.
So I want to understand, first of all, what's happening inside of your mind. The thoughts that you're having are causing you to feel emotions, lowering your self-worth and your self-esteem, and it's preventing you from making calls. So we've got a couple of people joining us now. Yelena, Louise, Scott, Laura, Tasha, Tracy, thanks for joining us. Please share this information because things are about to get funky, possibly a little bit weird over the next 10 minutes. So Vicky, just go ahead for a moment and I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think about this call reluctance. And as you think about this core reluctance, do you have a picture inside of your mind of what that looks like?
Yeah.
Beautiful. What's that picture of, just out of curiosity?
I'm sitting on the sofa with the phone in my hand in my sitting room at home.
Okay, so you're sitting on the sofa, phone's in hand. Are you making calls, or what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about making calls, but I'm not actually doing them.
Okay, good. So I want to understand how you encode this. So we're going to go through this really fast. Is this picture in black and white or colour?
In colour.
Colour. Is this picture near or far from you in relationship to your body?
Near.
Near. Okay. Is this picture bright or dim?
Bright.
And the location, just go ahead and point to the location of this picture.
I'm in it.
You're in it. Good. So in relationship to where you are, you're associated, are you? And you're in it. You're in the picture. Are you? Okay, cool. Now, what's the size of that picture?
It's quite big.
Okay, excellent. And is it focused or defocused?
It's focused.
And is it changing? Is it changing or steady?
No, it's steady.
And is it framed or is it panoramic?
Framed.
Framed. And is it a movie or is it a still?
It's a still.
And are there any sounds that are important as you're sitting there on the sofa with the telephone in your hand?
No. Oh, silence, but other than that, no.
Okay. Is it the sound of silence, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. And where's the location of that silence?
It's just all around me.
And the direction, is it moving towards you, the silence, or is it moving away from you?
No, it's sort of wrapped around me.
And is it internal or external?
External.
Loud or soft?
Loud.
Excellent. And are there any feelings that are important as you're sitting there on the couch with that sound of silence wrapped around you?
Frustration. Guilt. Fear of failure. That's probably it.
Okay. And where's the location of that frustration and that guilt and that fear of failure?
In my head.
In your head. And the size of that feeling in your head?
Big.
Big. And the shape of it?
I think it's round.
Round. And the intensity out of 10, how intense is that big round feeling in your head?
It's about a 9.
9. Okay, good. Go ahead and open your eyes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've just discovered the internal representation, or the thoughts that Vicky's thinking. What we know about this is that 95% of our feelings are determined by our thoughts. So just for a moment, I want you to close your eyes. If you're driving, by the way, don't close your eyes. Do this when you get home. That's very dangerous. If you're on the bus, close your eyes. If you're driving the bus, who's driving the bus? What we know is that we've got to try this on. So I want everybody out there just to try this on. Imagine if this was you for a moment and understand how it's a problem for Vicky. So Vicky has experienced core reluctance, and she has this picture in her mind of her sitting on the sofa with the phone in the hand and she's not making calls. Now, this picture, she's inside the picture, it's big, it's a still, and she's just wrapped around with silence, and that silence is really loud. But inside of her head, she's got this big round feeling that's a level 9 of intensity of feeling frustration, of feeling guilt, and also experiencing the fear of failure. Now, it's that thought that we have that produces the feelings. And those feelings are not enabling Vicky to make calls. The result of that is we never get to make the money that we want. We never get to have the time freedom we deserve, and we get held back in life. Is that fair to say, Vicky?
Yeah.
Now, what we know is that Vicky doesn't do this all the time. And what we want to understand, and we want to extract out of her mind a time in her life when she has a compulsion to complete. See, every human has a compulsion to complete. I don't know if you've ever gone to the bathroom and you've done half a wee. You've done half a wee. You try stopping that wee halfway through the middle. Is that painful, Vicky?
Yes. You have
Has
to
anybody
think very hard.
very hard? What happens? You bounce around. For some reason, we bounce around, but then our knees, our toes point together like pigeon toes, and our knees go in, and we think somehow that's going to stop the rest of the wee coming out. I don't know if you've ever tried to stop doing a poo halfway through. It's messy. So
no, I've not tried that one, Daniel.
Yeah, humans have a need for completion. And see, when you have a breakup with somebody, what happens is if they never talk to us, there's an open loop. And we want them to talk to us just to say it's over because we need to complete it. So when we say we're going to make calls, but we don't, what happens is we have an open loop and we exert a lot of emotional and mental energy and we lose our focus. So all of us have a compulsion to complete, and we need that to be successful. So just out of curiosity, we're not going to talk about bathroom habits anymore, Vicky, but what's something that you just have to complete? Is it a book? Is it a movie? Is it something that you do that you've got to complete all of the time?
Books.
Okay.
So not non-fiction.
Non-fiction book. What's a non-fiction book recently that you had to finish?
It's called, the last book I read was called Cast Iron.
Okay.
By Peter May, which is that was a really bad one because it was the 6th book in a series.
Ooh. And what happened? Could you put the book down or did you just have to keep reading it?
I just had to keep reading it. Actually, I was listening to it on audio, Daniel.
Okay. And you listened to it all the way to the end. You finished the book.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So just go ahead. I want to extract this information out of your mind. I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. And as you think about completing Cast Iron, the 6th one in the series by Peter, as you think about that, do you have a picture of the completion of that and the need to complete it?
Yes.
Good. What's the picture of?
It's late at night. I'm lying in bed. The lights are out. I'm listening to it. And I'm just like, I can't go to sleep until I've got to the end.
Excellent. Good. Now, is that picture in black and white or colour?
Black and white.
Mm-hmm. And is that picture near or far?
Near.
Is it bright or dim?
Dim.
And the location, just go ahead and point to the location of that in reference to your body.
I'm in it.
Okay. And is that picture, you're looking through your own eyes, is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. And the size of that picture?
It's different. Oh. It's not as big as the other picture. It's sort of, it's a bit smaller.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent.
It's very focused.
Focused. Excellent. Is the focus changing or steady?
No, it's steady.
Is it framed or panoramic?
It's like pinpoint accurate.
Excellent. And is it a movie or is it a still?
It's a still.
Excellent. And are there any sounds that are important?
Yes.
What's the sound?
So it's the person who's reading the book. So I can just hear the voice.
Excellent. And the location of the voice?
It's sort of beside me.
And the direction coming towards you or away?
Coming towards me, yeah.
And is it an internal or an external sound?
It's an external sound.
And is it loud or is it soft?
It's soft.
Is it fast or is it slow?
It's slow.
And are there any feelings that are important as you just want to get to the end of that book and complete it?
I'm feeling tired, but I'm also really excited.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And where's the feeling of that tiredness and that excited?
The excited is sort of in my sort of chest and my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And the tiredness is sort of in my head.
Excellent. And what's the shape or what's the size of that excited feeling in your chest and stomach?
Huge.
How big? How huge?
It's filling the whole cavity.
Excellent. And the shape?
It's sort of fitted. It's sort of like somebody's filled you with foam.
Excellent. And what's the intensity of that excited feeling that fills up the cavity of the chest?
It's really strong.
Strong. And out of 10, what would you give it?
I'm probably about a 9.
9. Excellent. Good job. So go ahead and open your eyes.
Yeah.
Now, let me just check. If it came to call reluctance and you were about to make a call and you continued having that same picture in your mind of sitting on the couch and not making calls, would that help you make more calls?
No.
If you were thinking the same way as you're thinking with this compulsion to close and finish that cast iron book, if you had that same level of excitement and intensity, would you feel compelled to make calls?
Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful. So let's go ahead and make this change. So what I'd like you to do, and ladies and gentlemen, this is an NLP process called mapping across. We're just giving the brain a new set of instructions, and we're going to rewire it so Vicky moves from having call reluctance to feeling that she has to complete these calls. And what we know is once she has this feeling of completion, she'll take action and she'll start to achieve her outcomes faster than she is now, and probably faster than she ever thought possible. So would there be any reason why you couldn't make this change today, Vicky?
No.
Good. You're happy to start making more telephone calls?
Yeah, very much so.
Good. What's the biggest payoff for you? What's the end result when you start making calls and you've overcome that call reluctance? What's the big payoff for you?
If I don't make the calls, I have no income. So I need to make the calls.
You got to make the calls.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it all right for your unconscious mind to make these changes today and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yeah.
Ready to rock and roll?
Ready.
Excellent. So I just want you to go ahead and I want you to close your eyes.
Okay.
And I want you to bring back to your mind that picture of you sitting on the couch, phone in hands, you're totally wrapped in silence. That frustration, that guilt, that fear of failure is in your head. And I just want you to bring that picture back to mind right now.
Okay.
You got that one?
Yeah.
Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take that picture and I want you to turn it from color into black and white.
Okay.
And I want you to make it really dim.
Okay.
And I want you just to reduce the size so it's not so big. It's just a little bit smaller.
Okay.
And I want you to make that pinpoint accurate. So it's a still.
Yeah.
Good. Now, I'd like your unconscious mind just to lock that picture into place right there.
Okay.
Now, whilst your eyes are closed, let me just check in. How do you feel about making calls right now?
I feel better. I've got like a sort of excited feeling in me.
Excellent, good. So what I want you to do, I want you to take that silence and I want you to move it outside of your head so you can hear the voice beside you. And that voice is starting to come toward you and it's really soft and it's slow.
Okay.
I just want you to go ahead and I want you to lock those sounds into place with that new picture right there.
Okay, done.
And now let me just check in. Now, how do you feel about making calls?
I'm really good now.
Good, good. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to take that frustration and that guilt and that fear of failure, and I want you to bring into your chest that feeling of excitement. I want you to push those other feelings out of your head, and I want you to bring into your chest, into the whole cavity, that excited feeling. And I want it to be fitted and I want it to be strong. And I want you just to bring it all the way up. So it's a 9 out of 10. And
Okay,
just inside your head, there's just a little bit of tiredness. Have you got those feelings there?
Yeah.
And now I just want you to lock that into place, those feelings, just lock them in right there with that new picture and those new sounds.
Yeah.
Good. Now, as you think about making calls, what would you like to do?
Make a call.
Make the calls. Good. Excellent. Good. Now, only if it's all right for your unconscious mind, and only when you've decided to make a lot of calls and a lot of money, only when you've decided that, is I want you to open your eyes and come back into the room.
Okay.
Wow, welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. It's a new Vicky. Now, just to give people an idea, is that we're just rewiring Vicky's mind right now so that when she thinks about making calls, she's going to do something different. So just for a moment, let me just test. I just want you to go ahead and close your eyes.
Okay.
And I want you to think about making calls. As you think about making calls, what's that image in your mind? What's that new image?
I'm filled inside with sort of excitement. I'm really focused on it. The voice coming towards me is the person on the other end of the phone. I'm going to share my excitement with them. Yeah.
Beautiful. Are you making calls?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, I want you to take that new picture and that sound, that feeling. I want you to go 7 days out into the future. And as a result of having this new mental attitude and this new self-concept, what's happening 7 days out into the future?
I'm making the number of calls I need to every day. I'm not punishing myself for it. I'm not feeling guilty anymore. Things are starting to drop into place, all the hard work. Starting to have people who are interested in becoming clients or business partners. Feeling much better about the future and that I made the right decision to give my job up and do this full time.
Excellent. And I want you to go out there 90 days into the future. You've consistently made new contacts. You've made more money. People are joining your team. What's happening 90 days out into the future?
I'm not worrying about the money that I've got coming in each month. I've got a regular set of clients. I'm constantly contacting people. I'm feeling proud, feeling really driven, excited, like I do when I make a phone call normally, but it's like all the time.
Beautiful. And I want you to go out there 10 years into the future, all the way 10 years out in the future. You've felt proud, you've made changes, you've achieved your goals, you're consistently feeling good. How's life changing 10 years out into the future?
I'm sitting on a sunbed beside a pool. I don't think I'm working. Not at the precise minute. I've got an infinity pool overlooking the sea. Yeah, I've got a cocktail in my hand. Yeah, life's good.
Good. Cheers, mate. Come back to now. And bring me a cocktail as well.
Yeah, I'll invite you over, Daniel. Don't worry.
Good. Fly me over, business class, not a problem. You'll have a lot of cash. So, ladies and gentlemen, core reluctance comes about by the way we think. There's nothing wrong with the telephone. There's nothing wrong with the person on the end of the phone. It's just how we think. And when you change the way you think, you'll change the way you feel. And it's the way we feel that determines our actions. And our actions that we take change our destinies. And we can see right here with Vicky that by making one small change in the self-concept, her whole future is changing based on that, even the internal feelings and that feeling of being proud. Is that a much better feeling, Vicky?
Oh, yeah, buzzing.
Good, good. Well, you go and make a lot of calls. Ladies and gentlemen, we both appreciate that you've joined us here on Facebook Live. And if you've ever felt that you've been held back by core reluctance, if you get fears of failure, fear of success, fear of criticism, the fear of the unknown, the fear of making a mistake, the fear of rejection, if these things come up inside of you and you're struggling with it, Vicky and I are here to help you. So all you need to do is post your name in the feed below and we'll contact you personally and we'll show you how to go through this and do the same things that we've done today, plus a whole lot more. So ladies and gentlemen, my name is Daniel Tolson. I appreciate that you've joined us here today and I look forward to seeing you sometime in the future. So wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Thanks for joining us, Vicky.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
My pleasure. I'll talk to you shortly.
Yeah.